Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to episode number 383 of NoDQ&A video right here on the YouTube channel. And it also happens to be the 1001st video. First off, I would like to say thank you to everybody for your overwhelmingly positive feedback regarding the 1000th video and all your support regarding NoDQ.com's 15-year anniversary, all the comments you left. I really appreciate everything that's been said. So thank you guys for all that. And also I would like to say thank you to Jeff Meacham for being part of that video. And hopefully Jeff and I will be able to get together in the future and do more videos. People seem to really enjoy when Jeff and I get on camera together and just talk wrestling. So, we'll try to get some more videos out in the future. Now we got no DQ&A video to take care of here. And I have a lot of questions from spring.me/AaronRift, which is the place you can submit questions. So let's get started here. First one today comes from Wrestling Dude 95. Hey Aaron, do you think DDP should be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame? In my mind, he was the top talent in WCW. I enjoyed his run with WWE, even though it was short. Absolutely. I firmly believe that DDP should be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. DDP was a huge star in WCW. He was one of the few homegrown creations of WCW. He wasn't a guy that WCW signed from WWE. He was a guy that they built up and they developed the character. So DDP, he's one guy you associate with WCW. And I think that, a Hall of Famer should not only be a guy who accomplished a lot in the wrestling business, but also somebody who has accomplished a lot outside of the wrestling business and somebody who has a good reputation. And DDP is definitely one of those guys. The stuff he's done with the yoga and, trying to help people like Scott Hall and Jake Roberts and get their lives back on track. As far as a humanitarian goes, DDP's done a lot, not only inside the ring, but outside the ring. So the guy's a class act, and, I think his story deserves to be told, and he deserves to have the recognition going into the WWE Hall of Fame. So I don't know if it's going to happen in 2014. I would love to see it happen. I think the timing is right, and, he would definitely be on the top of my list of guys that should go in soon. All right, this one comes from Y2 Dre. Hey Aaron, congrats on reaching 1,000 videos, and here's to 1,000 more. Thank you for that. If WWE does indeed have the rumored title unification match at WrestleMania 30, what do you think of them having a tournament like Vengeance 2001 with John Cena, Randy Orton, CM Punk, and Daniel Bryan involved? I would not mind that. I actually think that that's a decent idea. The only issue I could see WWE having with it, first of all, having CM Punk and Daniel Bryan in a unification match and any kind of involvement, I don't know if that's something they're even thinking about doing. But the thing is, I think when it comes to the WrestleMania card, WWE wants to have everything announced and the audience knowing exactly what they're getting for WrestleMania. When you do a tournament like this, sometimes it can negatively affect the pay-per-view buy rate. I mean, we've seen it before, pay-per-views like Cyber Sunday when you don't know exactly what you're paying for. Sometimes people will not buy the pay-per-view because of that, because they want to know all the matches and know what they're buying. So when you do a tournament, it could go in different directions and you don't know exactly what you're going to get. So, because of that reason, I think the odds are against that happening, but I mean, it wouldn't be the first time WWE's done something like that. I think back to WrestleMania 10 when they did Brett and Owen, but it really wasn't a tournament, but they had the two matches like that with Brett and Owen, and then you had Yokozuna versus Lex Luger, and then finally you had Brett versus Yokozuna at the end. So, I mean, it is possible they could do something like that if the unification match is even a set in stone for WrestleMania, which there's nothing been confirmed about that at this point. So, we'll just have to wait and see. But it's definitely an interesting idea that they could go with. All right, this one comes from Philly Reese 215. With the recent reports of Hogan coming back to WWE, does this mean that the Hogan TNA relationship was a flop from January 4th, 2000 till now? Well, I think overall Hogan's relationship with TNA did the company more harm than good. Yes, Hulk Hogan, his name value helped TNA when it came to sponsorships and working with outside entities. You know, a lot of people know who Hulk Hogan is, so I think it helped TNA in that regard. And certainly when Hogan debuted, you know, his first segment when he came out was the highest rated segment in TNA history. It did right, I think it was just under 3 million viewers. So it definitely got a lot of people curious about TNA and brought in some new eyeballs. But in the end, people tuned right back out, and I definitely think that it did more damage to the product overall. Hogan was there for way too long. If it was me calling the shots, I mean, it was worth bringing Hogan in to do the Monday Night Wars and try to gain some kind of momentum. But when that did not work, when they had to go back to Thursday nights, I think that should have been the end of Hogan and TNA. It just dragged out way too long, and you know, every week it was the Hulk Hogan show, and it was all about him. He was the center of attention every week, even though he wasn't wrestling. So, you know, it was just not good for the company in that regard. All right, this one comes from XNobX. Well, Mr. Riff, they've done it again. Just wondering if you happen to see the, quote, big reveal for TNA as far as the next, quote, big guest spot. Pacman Jones? Really? Did you see Jeremy Borash's face? He couldn't even pretend to be happy. Well, you know, I wasn't expecting much when Dixie went on Twitter and said that there was going to be a former world champion returning at Impact. I didn't think much of it. I mean, they've done this so many times where they've teased something big and it ends up being a disappointment. And this was no exception. I mean, it was almost comical how ridiculous it was. And, you know, some people were saying, well, it's just Dixie Carter being a troll. I don't know what I was going to say there. Being a troll, and you know, it was just part of her character, being a heel and whatnot. But you know, it was embarrassing. I mean, when I watched Impact and saw how it played out, and you know, she was just walking in the backstage area with him, and he got involved later in the show. I mean, they were taking it seriously, and you know, Pacman Jones got involved with Bad Influence, so. You know, I'm really perplexed with the whole thing, and you know, it was just so stupid. You know, that there's really not more I can say about it, honestly. All right, this one comes from Tom09Hair. Hey Aaron, what annoys you the most in wrestling? Mine is when a company starts a storyline feud and just drops it without any explanation and expects us all to just forget it ever happened. I agree with you. I definitely feel, you know, that's a pet peeve of mine when it comes to storylines. You know, I will take this opportunity to say something positive about TNA. I really liked how they concluded the Main Event Mafia storyline. You know, I was expecting the usual circumstance where the angle would just end and there wouldn't be any official breakup. Or anything like that, but they actually had the Main Event Mafia come out, announce that, you know, they accomplished what they set out to accomplish, and they were disbanding, and it played into the storyline with Sting against Magnus, and you know, all the guys wanting to be TNA champion. So I actually thought it was really well done, and I was pleasantly surprised that they did that, and I would like to see that more in not just TNA but WWE as well, where every storyline has a beginning, a middle, and a definitive end. So I would love to see more of that in the future. All right, this one comes from King Hickey 19. Hey Aaron, my question is, was there ever a superstar who, when they debuted, you honestly thought they would be big but for some reason they flopped? The two biggest examples that I can think of would be Ahmed Johnson and Mr. Kennedy. When Ahmed Johnson debuted, you know, he was the prototype of the kind of guy WWE likes to push. You know, he was this big, tough guy. You know, he looked the part, and you know, he seemed to be over with the fans right from the get-go. But you know, a lot of things happened with him. I mean, he couldn't cut a promo to save his life, but he had that intensity in the ring, and you know he looked like a guy you wouldn't want to mess with. And I thought he did well as a babyface, but then he got hurt. He had the kidney injury, and then he came back, and he never really regained the momentum that he had. And they really damaged his character when they turned him heel and had him join the Nation. I mean, that was so counterproductive, and they turned him back face right away. But the damage was done, and you know he never really got his momentum back at all, and he just faded away over time. And with Mr. Kennedy, a similar situation. He came in. I thought he was going to be a huge superstar right from the beginning, but then he got hurt several times, and he got suspended, and one thing after another. And they kept trying to push him. I mean, it wasn't like this guy wasn't getting a push. He was going to be Mr. McMahon's illegitimate son. So he has nobody to blame but himself for his WWE run not living up to expectations. All right, last one today comes from Brock and Punk 91. Hey Aaron, congrats on 1,000 videos for NoDQ&AV. Please answer in video. If WWE books John Cena versus Undertaker and Punk versus Bryan at WrestleMania 30, who should Brock Lesnar go against? Well, I think the obvious answer would be Randy Orton. He's the one name that's been left off there. I think that people are asking me about WrestleMania, and it's all speculation from me at this point, but if I had to predict the WrestleMania card right now, I would say it's John Cena versus Randy Orton, maybe unification title match, CM Punk versus Daniel Bryan, the match to make all the internet fans happy, and then Brock Lesnar versus Undertaker. Honestly, there's only a few guys that you can put Brock against, one of them being Undertaker and the other one being Randy Orton. I suppose it's possible you could have Brock Lesnar come back and be the guy that represents the baby faces against the Authority, and it's a babyface Brock Lesnar against a heel Randy Orton. I mean, that's not a bad idea. I mean, I would definitely be up for seeing that. And then you could do John Cena versus Undertaker, which is a match people have wanted to see for years. So you could go that route, but I think in all likelihood it'll be Cena versus Orton and Undertaker versus Lesnar. That's what I'm sensing at this point. But they could mix it up and go in a different direction. I think once the Royal Rumble comes along, we'll have a better idea of where they're going for WrestleMania 30. So that'll do it for this edition of NoDQ&A video. Subscribe, keep spreading the word, and I will see you guys next time for more.